You smell what the Rock is cooking.
Acknowledge me.
You don't know what hard times are, Daddy.
We are bad to the bone. Get it? Bad to the bone.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
I'll fight anybody. Who do you want? Just let me fight him.
Let me tell you something, Jim Ross.
Mega power, yeah.
We got it for you.
We are the best of the best.
Woo! Wheeling dealing. Smart marks.
And that's the bottom line, cause Stone Cold said so.
Welcome to Talking to the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we focus specifically on the promo. My name is Adalid. I'm one of the co-hosts here, joined by my compatriots, my compadres, my lucha libre aficionados. We got Greg and Adrian out in the ATL. And we're excited. We're hyped to join you this week. And if this is your first time here on Talking in the Building, join us on intothebuilding.com. Intothebuilding.com is going to take you to our back catalog. And for those of you that are joining us new, this is a pro wrestling podcast where we focus on the promo. We hype the hype man. We pontificate in promo. And it's something that we love. We love being here and discussing. And if you're into it at all, you're as passionate as a pro wrestling fan as we are, this is kind of our niche. This is what we talk about for the most part. We touched on some of the current stuff too, but we try to keep it to the promo. And with that said, tonight you're in for a treat because we're going to be looking at one Terry Funk. And I know some of you fans might, if you're listening now, you might be of an era where you knew Terry Funk from the 90s, ECW, maybe all you know from Botchamania where he yells forever. He's part of the promo. But tonight we're going to delve a little deeper. We're going to go back to the mid 70s to the 80s and really delve into, what made Terry Funk, the legend that he was and that he continues to be to this day. But before we get to that, I want to start with a question for you guys. And I'm going to come at you first, Adrian, here. So WWE in Real just debuted on Netflix for WWE. And it almost looks like they're coming up with a new level of kayfabe, right? For lack of a better word. They're packaging the backstage almost as if it's its own livable storyline. Breaking down the wall, dare I say breaking down the fourth wall, but is this a case of WWE presenting its own idealized fiction, or are we really lifting the curtain to see what's in the back?
Well, I would definitely say that I love the concept because who are we kidding? Kayfabe's been dead for quite some time now. And I think this is the evolution of WWE doing programming like this because they've done this multiple times before. Like we can go as far back as Total Bellas and Total Divas. Like it was always one of those things where all of us are fans. We want to know what's going on backstage. Like hell, some of us pay Dave Meltzer for years to find out what's going on and who's beefing and all this. Now WWE is going to say, hey, watch our program and you can see the full scope of everything. You can see creative decisions. You can see our superstars beefing against each other. And it may be storyline, it may not. They're kind of working you. You know what I'm saying? So I love the aspect of them embracing that. We all know that it's work. We all know professional wrestling's a work. WWE's a work. I'm sorry, wrestling fans and pure diehards and all of this stuff, but kayfabe's been dead. Now they're doing is a new version of kayfabe, a new elevated version of kayfabe, in my opinion.
Okay, fair point. I can see that. Greg, I'm gonna come at you with the same question with the twist. Thinking about kind of this old school mindset, we're gonna get into Funk in a minute, but would a Terry Funk still have the same function, have the same success under these new terms of kayfabe? Because it was so kind of hooked on to this idea that he was a badass, that he was someone that you could truly believe.
I think so. Because at the end of the day, we were invested in the characters, right? And I think there's certain ones, the connection for the audience is different, right? It's a little bit more intentional. It's a little bit more relatable. but I think there's certain ones throughout the years who are, no matter what the circumstances are, they connect. I think Funk is one. I think Taker's one. I think Austin's one. I
Definitely.
think Hogan was one. I don't think Cena would be,
Mm.
because Cena, and I will argue this all day long, came along at a time that had the business been hot, I don't think he's the star he is. And so
Okay.
you put this behind the scenes piece to it, maybe, maybe not. I'm just curious, right? I don't know.
Mhm.
Um, I think there's certain ones who just have that connection. I think Cody has that connection today. It's just different. It's a different
Mm.
connection to that
Mhm.
audience. Punk, over the top, right? Nobody can put their finger on why. And I think
Mm-hmm.
Funk is that type, um, that no matter what the circumstances are, he would make it work. The show as a whole, what it reminds me of, and I'm not sure if you guys are Star Wars fans. I'm a big Star Wars fan.
Mhm.
When Disney Plus started coming out with like Mandalorian and all this stuff, and
Mm.
John
Yeah.
Favreau, right? He
Yeah.
he has a round table with the creators of all these new Star Wars shows.
Mm.
This is what it reminds me of, because they're all Star Wars fans and all the stuff they're putting into it, and it puts Easter eggs in there. And as a fan of Star Wars, it makes me want to go back and watch. It's not about how the sausage is made per se,
Mhm.
but it's about, we're fans, and this is why we did this, and this is why we did this. And if you look here, we added this in. And I think that's what this is going to be. And it's
Mm.
going to appeal to a different fan base than just the
Mhm.
hardcores. And it's
Yes.
going to suck in those people who love a Game of Thrones, who love a Star Wars, who love a Star Trek, who are passionate about these other genres and other series that have the crazies just like we do,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
The internet trolls, and you have the internet discussions, and you have the
Oh.
cons and all that kind of stuff, right? And you have the casuals and all that. But I think that's what this does, is it brings in a different element.
Mm.
Um, but I think Funk, going back to just that for a second,
Mhm.
is that character, one of those characters that would flourish in any um generation. And I
Oh
think he
yeah.
did. Let's call it
Absolutely.
what it was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm sure, I don't know what all you brought today,
Right.
but I know my experience with Funk through the years, he evolved
Mm-hmm.
from the old school NWA to the new school extreme of ECW. You can't get much different.
Right.
You just
Right.
can't. Those are totally different fan bases, and he was like superstar level, elite star level in both of those. So I think
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely Funk could make that work.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned the Star Wars space. I don't think there's anyone more rabid than I thought wrestling fans were rabid. I'm like, no,
Mm.
spend some time on one of those boards.
Yeah.
Uh,
No, thank
yeah,
you.
and shout out for John Favreau. You made a good point. If you haven't checked out Dinner for Five, it's on YouTube. It's on. Just go look for it. It's a good show. It's basically a roundtable about the movies and
Hmm.
reminds me of what you just said. Now, you made a mention, Greg, and this is a great point you made. You mentioned a Terry Funk. You mentioned an Undertaker. Cena as a non example of this, but pro wrestlers that regardless of what generation, what decade, they adapted, they made it work, they fit in within the structures of whatever the business was at the time. Now, if we can think of the current landscape, whether it's someone who's been in WWE for 15 years or is more new, or AEW, wherever you want to go with the wrestling you know universe, as it were, is there someone that stands out to you that is almost in the vein of, I don't want to put them in the same room as a Undertaker or a Punk, because they've already, or a Funk, because already they've demonstrated it decades, but who would be that wrestler today that regardless of where you would put them, they could still be successful regardless of which version of kayfabe we gave them, whether there was the one from the 50s or the one in 20 years from now, which who
Mm.
knows what it's going to look like. Who do you, in your estimation, who's someone that comes to your mind right away?
Jericho,
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
because Jericho, I know he's fallen out of favor with a lot of people the last couple of years, but you look at his entire career,
Mm.
nobody has evolved like Jericho.
Mm.
Nobody. And when he evolves, this is the other thing about him. He doesn't go back and play the old hits.
Mm.
he leaves them back. He puts them in the crate. He puts it away. You haven't seen the list come back out. You haven't seen the Y2K silver jackets coming back out. You haven't seen the suits of his Nick Bockwinkel ripoff. His words, not mine.
Yeah, that's facts.
You haven't seen those, right? And so as he's gone down this path, he continuously evolves. Now he's gotten much older and all of that, but I think he is a wonderful example of that. Another one I think that has evolved in a different way, it's going to throw you off, is Miz.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I
Because
can see that.
Miz gets it. Miz
Mhm.
knows where his place is in my opinion, in the landscape of what's going on at that time. It has changed when he needs to change.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
He's a
true
perfect
point.
utility player.
hmm
You can place him anywhere.
Miz is that person that can go up the card, down the card. He legitimizes every single level of it. He can put him in there with anybody at any time. He's evolved his wrestling style. His character's been very similar throughout the whole time, but he has evolved when he needed to.
Yes.
He can do comedy. He can do straight faced. He can be over the top. He now has starting to really earn the people's respect. I just see him as somebody who, the wild card. When I say the wild card, the unexpected answer being the Miz.
Adrian, is anyone that stands out to you like a Miz, like that, in that vein?
Well, the only guy that I can think of that can basically, you can pluck him out of today's wrestling and put him in any era of pro wrestling and he'll be over and adored, is my guy, Brock Lesnar. Brock is a guy where he may not be as flexible as a Miz in the sense where he can work so many. In my opinion, Brock Lesnar is the last living true superstar of pro wrestling, and I stand by that. Like, I know people love and pop for Roman and stuff like that. A Brock Lesnar pop is different than everybody in pro wrestling, today's pro wrestling, in my opinion. I don't think if Brock's music were to hit at any show, we're all going apeshit. Yeah, I know I am. I'm a Brock Lesnar mark, but I just think everyone has that same, that meme of the Brock Lesnar guy?
Yeah.
That's everybody. That's literally everyone's reaction when you hear that Brock Lesnar music. But I love the fact that they challenged Brock to change his character into the more country boy character. And at first, it was one where you look and you're like, man, it's kind of weird. It's kind of goofy, but it worked. And everybody was enjoying it. Everyone was enjoying it. And it went from a bad guy element of that character to a good guy. And it's because Brock Lesnar is one of the last true living superstars of professional wrestling. And Brock can come back from his, MMA shorts, those days. That's my favorite Brock. They can send that Brock Lesnar out at SummerSlam and everyone's going to go crazy. Or they can send the country boy Brock Lesnar out and everyone's going to go crazy. It's the same exact effect. And the only thing that will screw Brock Lesnar from previous eras is probably just politics. Like, he would probably have punched someone in the face and it would have been like, okay, we can't really deal with this guy too much. Yeah, he's getting booted around all these territories because he legit beat up Dusty Rhodes or something, like,
my gosh.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would hold Brock back. But for me, I think he can work in any era. Like, he's the last true superstar for me.
It's interesting you use the last true superstar. I think of him as the last true attraction. Because back in the day, the Road Warriors are the only, if you think about the Road Warriors, they're to me the greatest attraction of all time. They would come into a territory, get the Road Warrior pop. Then they had to leave. Look at what happened to them in WWE. At some point, you ended up with Spike because you had nothing else to do with them. You had at some point you had to beat them. But if you're an attraction, you don't have to get beat. The great attractions through the years: Andre, Bruiser Brody, Abdullah the Butcher, guys like that who came in, they popped the territory, they left. To me, when you said that about Brock, the first thing I thought about, man, him in the territory days, dude, he would have been a Gary
He been
Hart guy
cash
all the
money.
way. He'd been a Gary Hart guy all the way, walking into
He would have
world class.
carried the title
Yes.
for like 5 years or something
Well,
ridiculous.
I mean, but he would need it. You think about a Bruiser Brody, he would come into against a Bruiser Brody, come in against a
Yeah,
Abdullah. He'd be that person that Dusty brings in for a War Games match, like
right.
just bringing them in for like that 3 to 4 month stretch, and then they're gone. And if you think about it, back in the day, that's how they used to do it. That's where I think when they talk about Andre, even when he was in WWE, you did not see him a lot.
Right.
He was an attraction. He was in and out. They used Kane like that a few times. This is where I think they screwed up with Big Show, because Big Show had to be, you had to beat the Giant at some point. He's there on the TV every single week. So I think 100% Brock works in any era, but I think what makes him special now, since his first return back in Miami, or after that, is because he was used sparingly.
Yeah.
And because, yes, he gets that pop, but if he's on TV every single week, he's not getting that pop.
That's fair.
Nor is anybody else, right? Nobody else. You look at Roman's pops right now; they're out of this world. Why? Because we didn't see them
We haven't
since
seen him in
Mania.
forever. Yep.
So
And
people are excited, but you have to have it
there's
in
a
doses.
there's a commonality there too. Everyone you'd mentioned, if we took them out of the wrestling ring and just put them in a bar, or we put them in the middle of a mall, they're gonna stand out.
Yeah.
Bruce Brody is gonna stand out. Abdullah's gonna stand out.
They all pass the strip
Brock,
club test.
Yes, they do.
and then some, right? And then some. So I'm gonna throw someone in the ring. And again, this is all right. There's just potential.
Yeah,
At this
yeah.
one, he's 27. He's 6'4". It's Obafemi. That dude.
You know,
He's the
I
goods.
was thinking.
He's the goods, my
of
man.
throwing Oba out there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's money,
If
bro. He's money.
man race a couple of years, it's decent promo. It's only gonna get better. And again, it's just he has the look. He can go. It's so good.
And
It's
it's only
a
been
full
wrestling
package,
for what,
right?
like three years now?
Something like
4?
that. Yeah, it hasn't been
It's
much, and it's
insane,
all
man.
NXT.
It's
It's
insane, bro.
complete WWE product too. Which again, Brock effectively was too.
Yeah.
I mean, he was in their feeder system, whatever, their version of NXT at the time. Batista, same thing, right? There's another one that we can talk about. So it's just interesting in this, with this idea of this reality show, which ultimately, that's, for all intents and purposes, it's more or less what it is. It's just putting it together as a package. And that's my biggest curiosity is, I don't want to be an old timer, but I do question it. It's like, are we to the point where is this? I always do the Muppets because that's all I like to think about it. Is this a Muppets? Are we going to see the puppeteers now? Is this it, or is this a Muppets where we're literally going backstage with the Muppets, but there's no puppeteers yet? I don't know if that makes sense.
It
No,
does.
it makes perfect
But
sense.
here's what I like about it. And I'm gonna contrast two things, because I'm gonna talk out of both sides of my mouth with it. When Jericho and Omega first announced that match, I about crap myself. Like when I first saw that highlight, when Jericho's music played and he showed up on New Japan, I was like,
Right.
what? I lost my mind, right? And then they go through their whole feud and they're blurring the lines and all that stuff. And I want to suspend disbelief.
Right.
Right after that match, I mean, within a week, maybe two, on Jericho's podcast, they broke down the entire thing. How it all came together. I was like, one side of me was like, this is cool to hear. And the other side was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my life. Why are you doing this right now? The contrast to this show is it's not that recent. It's Rumble from a few months ago.
Very good point.
So now we're seeing what happened then. how do we get there? If they were talking about last week, I would have a different issue. If they're talking about a current feud, I think I'd have an issue. But if I'm looking at what they came up with before, it's almost like the appeal of something to wrestle with, Bruce Pritchard. Like now I get to hear what happened back then. Like, man, that roller coaster ride I was on, now I get to see how it was made.
Right.
So it's not that much of a nostalgia, but it is taking me back to hear some of that. Kind of like they tested it with that YouTube thing, right? Last year with the Mania part. And talking to The Rock, talking to Cody, talking to all them. And it's like, man, that was an interesting ride, but then it kind of takes you back to that ride. I think as long as they keep a separation that is not too current, we'll be fine.
I think that was my only criticism on Raw. It's like Michael Cole's like he had his Nick Castellanos moment, and he goes, he's like, oh, and we got this match coming up, and also watch Unreal where we take you behind the scenes. I was like, oh, maybe see the promos for between the commercials, That's the only thing that throws me off. But I can see past that. Look, we suspend disbelief enough that let's just call it what it is. As Adrian said at the beginning, kayfabe's been dead for decades. Let's be real. This is just the next evolution.
See, this is where I look at it. Kayfabe's not dead; it's just different.
That's fair.
Because it's been different for a long time. Kevin Owens has kept it alive. Jericho's done a great job keeping it alive at times. Punk has done a good job keeping it alive. Hunter, like we talked about before, Hunter plays Dave Meltzer like a freaking fiddle. Like there's certain things he does now that kayfabe is just different.
Right.
So I think it's still there because and when I say kayfabe, I'm thinking mysteries and surprises and all of that. And it's like it's still there. It's just different. And there's Easter eggs and there's so many little pieces they put out there. And Rock touched on it. It's all a work. So don't be surprised that some of this Unreal isn't a work too.
Yeah, for sure.
And
when it's said and done, it's WWE programming. Like
100%.
They're in control of it, so they're not just going to be giving it up.
No,
like they're not going to be giving it up. Like they're gonna
give
us a little taste.
It's control, right? It's like let's let others tell the narrative. Let's us tell our own story, even the behind the scenes story. Right?
But there's another part
because especially for this Mania where there was so much like what did Rock really want to be there? Did he not? And it's like, okay, we're
Charlotte Tiffy,
exactly,
whole conflict
that was interesting,
and that's going to be on it if I'm not mistaken. So
think about some of the stuff. If they can get some casuals or some lapsed fans to watch that show, so Adrian's the one who put me onto that podcast with Bruce Pritchard years ago, and if you remember, that WWE even reached out to Conrad and Bruce and put them on the network prior to Bruce working for them because they saw spikes in certain shows that they were covering. They would cover a show and then all of a sudden that was Spike on the network. This is going to do the same thing. Absolutely. This is going to be that situation where now I'm going to talk about Rumble. I'm going to talk about all these different things. People are going to go back and watch it. And they're going to watch it different. And they're going to pay attention. Now, all of a sudden, I have better engagement on Netflix. I have better engagement. What happens when I have better engagement on Netflix? It means Netflix can promote other stuff. And they can do all these other things. It's all tied together. How do I take a library that's old stuff and make it new again? And this is another way to make it new and fresh. Because there's plenty of times I listen to other podcasts and I'm like, man, I got to go back and watch that. I don't remember these things. And you go back and watch it. What's happening right before it? Commercial. So it's all intertwined.
It's like when WWE bought ECW, they're like the rise and fall of ECW, and we own the catalog if you want to check it out.
Exactly.
It's like perfect marketing or whatnot. So it's their programming. They're giving the platform. I'm sure this isn't something new. It's just interesting to talk about and to kind of look at it, especially when you mentioned a show like Total Divas, where I know a lot of people who are not wrestling fans. When I will tell them I'm a wrestling fan, like, oh, the show that Nikki and Brie are, and then they're like, oh yeah, I know Daniel. I was like, oh, you mean the wrestler? It's like, but that was her point of entry, and it worked because here we are. Right? Great. I love hearing your thoughts because it's one of those things where it is another show, but it's at the wrestling fan in me, the hardcore still like, I'm gonna sit on my high horse and critique it a little bit because I'm not sure where this is
Rightfully
going.
so. Rightfully so.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for engaging with that. And with that said, we're gonna get into it because we have a Hall of Famer. We have one of the greats of all time that we're gonna talk about today, Terry Funk, someone who, going back to the topic that we mentioned earlier, had the staying power to stay relevant, not just as a performer, but almost as a representative, as an elder statesman of pro wrestling, where later in his career, you had people visiting him and looking after him. And Mick Foley's, that story stands by itself. But even later, you had a Punk who would always look at him. He's talking about the Punk and Harley Race connection. There was also the Funk connection because they actually wrestled. So for the listeners and those watching us here on YouTube as well, we're going to be looking at some of the earlier promos, and almost chose this as a challenge to myself because again, I'm going to lean heavily on the guys today because I chose them. I don't know have a historical background on them, but I do know that there's some historical worth to them, and almost to see the change in how Terry Funk develops. And I'm going to start us off with this first one here. Is this Terry Funk as the new NWA World Champion in 1975.
Another member of the famous Funk family, Terry Funk. I'm Gordon Soley, and it's my pleasure to have the new world champion with me at this time. It was on December 10th in Miami Beach, at the Miami Beach Convention Hall before a capacity crowd, that Terry Funk did the one thing that no other wrestler has been able to do in the past 2.5 years, and that was to pin the shoulders of Jack Briscoe for a count of 3. And certainly, congratulations are in order.
Well, thank you very much, Gordon. And I want to say that I hope that I can represent professional wrestling as its world champion in a right and respectful way. Ever since I can remember, my father, the late Dory Funk Sr., was a professional wrestler, and I've been going to wrestling matches ever since I was just knee-high. And as I was growing up, I didn't want to be a doctor or a lawyer. I had no wishes to be this. What I wanted to be is I wanted to be world's champion someday, and it's a dream that has been fulfilled. Dory Funk Jr. held the world's heavyweight championship longer than any other man. He held it for 4.5 years. Then, and during that time, I was kind of the forgotten man in professional wrestling because I couldn't wrestle for the world's heavyweight championship with him holding it, but I was proud that it was in the family. Later on, he lost that belt to Mad Dog Harley Race, and after that, Harley Race lost it to Jack Briscoe. I was chasing it constantly, and finally I got Jack Briscoe in the ring, and I did defeat him with an inside cradle in 28 minutes. It was the biggest thing in my life, and I might add, too, that it's the first time that two brothers has ever held the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship.
That's exactly right. This did make wrestling history that night, that fateful night of December 10, 1975. And Terry, I know that you were very, very happy about it. And I know if your dad were here, he'd be extremely proud of it.
Well, thank you very much, Gordon. I didn't really realize just how much 3 seconds could change one man's life. But whenever I put Briscoe's shoulders down for that 3 seconds, it definitely changed mine. It changed mine to making over $250,000 per year. It changed my life from being the hunter to becoming the hunted immediately. I know what it's like now, and I intend on being an offensive champion, the type of champion that goes ahead and takes a fight to a man and wrestles all opponents and all challengers. I intend on doing this, and I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, which I think is pretty doggone good. I think I'm a good wrestler, and I think I'll be something that you people can be proud of, and I intend on representing you to the best of my ability.
Thank you so very much. There you have it, the new NWA World Heavyweight.
Greg, I'm going to come at you. This baby face of faces of promos from a young baby face Terry Funk, literally. Is it doggone good, as Terry Funk says?
It's so wild watching that because knowing what he becomes later and how wild some of these promos get, and you can hear it in there, and you're like, oh my gosh, what would it have been like had he lost his mind? Like he does in promos later on. But that was the NWA at the time too, though. Y'all, you got to think about that. At that point, yes, colorful characters, but it was very much a straightforward, no nonsense type of thing. I don't think there was a ton of yelling and screaming, and that didn't really come to a flare. Harley is the one who beat him. About I looked it up 14 months later, so he held it for 14 months. He being Terry Funk held it for 14 months and then lost it to Harley Race. And he never regained it. But of course there's all kinds of politics behind that. But it's like, how wild is that? How different is that? You think about who he's talking about: Dory Funk, then Jack Briscoe, and then Terry. It's just interesting. The whole promo is just interesting. The content of it, straight laced, straightforward. Gordon Solie, who to me, bar none, greatest of all time. Sorry, JR, 100%. He just the way he interviewed, the way he called matches, more straightforward. Not JR is the greatest storyteller, but it's, to me, the whole thing is just very straightforward, very sports oriented.
Yes.
Yeah.
Legitimate.
Definitely. And had the caliber to do that too.
Yeah.
And the fashion was off the chain.
Shout out to
that shirt, man. That shirt. I was like, yeah, Big Pimpin' Terry Funk, man. Come on.
I was like, so you'd be shopping where my uncle shopped in the 70s with a big popped up collar and whatnot. Adrian, I'm gonna come at you. You've been following Terry forever, but tell me what you think. I mean, this is such a different version of him as Greg was pontificating now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's an actual baby face.
Yeah,
Terry Funk. So I loved it because it's as though he's trying to force himself to be as professional and as honorable as possible. And I know we all know what he becomes and all of that stuff. But this is such a contrast, and you could just tell this is a young champion who's trying to prove himself still, even though he's the champ, and trying to do his family name proud. And that's from a foundational strip everything down. That's what Terry Funk embodies. I want to do my family proud. That's something that has always come in the Terry Funk legacy, the Dory Funk legacy. They want to do their family proud. They want to do their dad's name proud. They want to have that lasting effect. And that it's refreshing to see, to go all the way back. What was that? 75, 76?
75.
Yeah, man.
December 75. Yeah.
To go all the way back then to hear that foundation. That's literally the foundation of what the guy becomes. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time. And it was always about, I want to do my family proud. I want you guys to be proud of me, and I want my family to be proud of me. And that's always been the case with Terry. Always.
Family man, Terry Funk.
Yeah.
Which a 50-year-old promo that I'm like, I fully enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed just like listening to him. And again, to your point, it's like, yeah, it ages really well. He's not, and again, this is not the Terry Funk where he's yelling and he's just calm. He's telling you the family history. He's breaking down the last 4.5 years of the NWA lineage, and then says, "And I'm proud to take this championship." And it's just it's really funny because this is not the Funk that, at least someone of my generation, I don't remember this because I had to seek it out on my own, obviously.
Now I know Greg did mention this is kind of the way that NWA presented their players, right? But I also know, being a Funk fan, this is around the time where he was going to Japan a lot. And I just wonder, that interview style was very similar to what we see of those Japanese promos about the whole pride, the fighter's pride, and I want to do my family right and all that stuff. And it just seemed like that was a Japanese promo. to me. If
Oh,
that
that's an
does that
interesting
sound
angle.
weird, or is
Yeah,
that
yeah. No, it makes sense. It makes sense,
yeah,
especially if that's been his influence, which we never talk about a non-domestic influence for him, right? Because
yeah,
he's
yeah,
American. But I can see that. Yeah,
yeah.
him having to present a very different promo in Japan or a different demeanor in Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and he brings it with him.
But also, I think the one thing about that you nailed it. I think it is very Japanese oriented, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Japanese part is prideful,
Mm-hmm.
prideful of being a champion. And I think
Hmm.
the NWA exuded that. NWA was the belt. It was the championship.
Yeah,
You can talk about
Absolutely.
WWF
the world's
champions.
champion,
You can talk
right?
about
Yeah,
AWA. You can talk about others. But at that time, and I don't know if they all had already left the NWA or not, but he kind of talked that way. And that is how Japanese talk, right? They are so proud to be an IWGP champion or
yeah,
whatever else. They have a pride. That's something that's missing today. You don't see that pride. I saw it with Jay Uso. I felt it with Jay Uso. Like there was a pride. And I think that Cody had it in the early part of him winning, but it doesn't become the focal point going forward. It's
Mm.
more about the
hmm
feud or whatever. But this was pride. And if you go to the next person, Harley Race was pride, Flair, pride, Briscoe,
yeah,
Funk, Dory Funk, others. There was such a pride about the NWA championship that, and that probably did come from Japan because those guys were going to Japan all the time.
yeah,
That's a
yeah.
great point, Adrian.
Isn't that crazy though? Like every name mentioned is like a certified Hall of Famer. It's like
Yep.
without a doubt,
Yep.
Hmm.
including Funk in that conversation.
Hmm.
It's like,
Absolutely.
but it shows the influence. But to your point, even if you go to a New Japan show today or you're watching one live and they do a championship match, they go down the
They show
lineage
the
and they
whole
show
yeah.
everybody
One
exactly
of the coolest things about their
right.
championship matches is that you get to
It's
see
like,
the whole lineage. Like
hmm
everyone gets their moment.
I mean, it's funny to see who Americans cheer for versus Japanese, but
Mm-hmm.
that's a whole conversation in and of itself. Well, I think that's a good way to get us started with a very young Terry Funk because we're gonna fast forward. We're still gonna keep it within the next few years, but we're gonna fast forward a little bit to 1981 and to a feud he has with Jerry Lawler.
Mm.
And in this is actually a tape promo presented to Jerry Lawler for an empty arena match. So this is April 1981, and this is
That match.
before this is
Oof.
before that match. So we're gonna
Terry Funk had a challenge and some comments. We accommodated him, and if you would, I'd like you to stand here and listen to this wild man, Terry Funk. World Heavyweight Champion Terry Funk has something that he wants to explain about, and we are obliging him with that time.
First of all, I'd like to say that Jerry Lawler is the son of a jackass. He's a lover of chickens. He has a one-track mind the same way a hog does at supper time or slop time. He's got a one-track mind just as that hog does, but he's not concerned about slop. I want to tell you, Lance, what he's concerned about. The man is concerned about money and money alone. And within this area right here, he has got the fans on his side. And besides having the fans on his side, he has got the police on his side. And besides the police being on his side, he's got the officials on his side. And I would like to say this, he's got you on his side. This is a completely one-sided thing where Jerry Lawler is involved. Now, I am telling you people that he has got one thing on his mind, and that's money. And I'm going to prove to you, Lance, that he doesn't have any guts. And you see right here is I have got a date, I have got a time, and I have got a place. This is a personal invitation sealed right here to Jerry Lawler to ask him to meet me by himself with nobody else involved at an area that I know, he knows, and you will know. And I want you to bring the camera down there, but I don't want a referee. I don't want the police. I don't want the fans. I don't want money for this. What I want is I want to compete against Jerry Lawler, and I want to get him down and hold him down, and I want to make him say to me personally, Terry Funk, you are the better man. Terry Funk, oh, Terry Funk, oh, please let me up and let me go. That's what I want to make him holler. I want to see if he's got the guts to come down there. The guts. Like I don't think a lot of people have around here. And I'm talking about the fans, Lance. I'm talking about you. I'm talking about a lot of different people. But Lawler does not have the stinking guts to come down there where no money is involved, where nothing is involved except personal pride. And I do have Texas pride, believe me.
Yeah, there it is.
Take this.
Okay, I will take it, and I will deliver it to Lawler.
Adrian, what did you think of this? Was it enough to give you the guts to say that it was a great promo?
Dude, that is one thing about that whole era of Terry Funk and Lawler, that rivalry, that promo in particular, going into the match. Have you seen that match?
No.
Oh my
To be
God!
honest, no. I have to look into it.
When we're done recording, Adelie, watch it.
Will
Because listeners, if you've never watched this, empty arena match between Terry Funk and Jerry Lawler, you are in for a show. All I gotta say is the level of shrieking that you get from Terry Funk is so cringe, but hilarious and entertaining. It was beautiful. And he basically walked around with that eye patch forever. So I'm telling you, that is pro wrestling. That promo, that rivalry, that match. I've said this before on other podcasts. I've been asked, like, what are your favorite matches? That always hits my list of top 5 because it's just so different. It's so unique. It's so authentic. Like, I know Greg has seen it. Like, Terry shrieking is just beautiful, man. It's just the pomp and circumstance of Jerry walking in to an empty arena match, and Funk is like, what the hell is he doing? Like, he's literally saying this while this dude is making his entrance. Like, it's beautiful, man. It is gold. Like, it inspired what that halftime heat match between Rock and Mankind. That definitely is plenty of inspiration from that at another level. They threw accelerant on that match, but this one is a foundation. Terrific match, terrific story. I love the cadence in that promo. Like, Terry's cadence is a little bit more of what we know of Terry Funk. Like that cowboy, that badass cowboy who just finished having himself a little beer before he went on camera, and he's gonna talk his talk, and the Texas pride thing. Like, he did that intentionally because, as we all know, Jerry Lawler, King of Memphis. Those are that's for Memphis people to be pissed that this Texas man, I'm a proud Texan. Screw you guys, like that sort of thing. I could talk about that promo and that rivalry forever. I'm gonna pass the mic though.
Greg, I'm sure you're gonna have something, just as eloquent to say about that.
I mean, the
put
match
me on
is
game on this one. Yeah,
that match is insane, and it's different. And you think about the time frame, right? This is a match that personifies how Memphis was ahead of everybody else.
Yep.
And how Memphis was creative, especially and how great Lawler was. Don't get it twisted. I mean, and everything he said in there made sense. Like, you have the fans, I take them away. You have the security, I take them away. You have the refs, I take it away. Lance, they have you. I take it away. I mean, it's just personifies Memphis, personifies storytelling, and you start to see that crazy Terry. You start to see that redneck, that Texas guy, staying here and then elevating and then coming back. I mean, taking you on that roller coaster. And again, I mean, we got to do a Rushmore one day of announcers because you're standing there with one of the greats in Lance Russell. And you think about what you just saw. You saw Gordon, and now you see Lance. How great were both of them for the specific types of promos?
Yep.
And I mean, they help it. Both of them helped in their respective ways in those promos. And when I say they helped, Lance helped set it up with Jerry because he has that sympathetic thing, like, here we go. And can you believe this guy? So now he's already got that connection as I'm a fan. And come on, Jerry, you got this. And now here he is talking to Terry, and then Terry kind of rips him a little bit too. So it's just, let's don't sleep on how great those both were on helping these promos elevate to another level.
Absolutely.
As great as Terry is, it kind of notched it up a little bit. And then the match.
And Lance played a part in the match essentially because he was the person, he was the bridge between us, the viewer, and the actual action in the ring, because there was no other employees there other than the cameraman and Lance. Like, like, it's insane, man. You utterly no BS. You gotta watch it.
I queued it up right now. Yeah, I queued it up. It's I literally have it right here in another tab. So we're good to go.
Good.
Man. No, and it's to your guys' point. It's like he elevates it, but he's almost keeping himself in check. He's not going fully crazy, but he's giving you just enough to say, whatever I'm holding back, you're going to see in the ring. Essentially, you're going to see me. And from the sound of it, I guess he does. So I'm kind of looking forward to it. And for everybody listening, do yourself a favor and just look up Terry Funk Lawler promos, and it's a lot of Funk promos, but especially what Adrian said with the with the eye patch later, those are unhinged. I don't want to go off onto that. I want to show you a little bit before that, but it's like, wow,
super unhinged.
And you see these elements, for me at least, where Mick Foley being such a student of the game, but a student of Funk, I'm like, oh, that's not lifted, but it's inspired by Funk for sure. It's just like it's his take on Funk for me, But it's really cool to see, and I think that's the beauty of we focus on the promo, but people talk about influences in wrestling from the move sets and this and that. But for me, this is so much more fascinating because moves come and go, they evolve, but the promo is a spoken word, and you're influencing delivery, you're influencing presentation, and I don't think Terry Funk goes into this. He's just the guy who's trying to make his name known, but little does he know how much of impact he has on so many generations of pro wrestlers in terms of how they deliver in an era of TV, and more so now on social media. We only got a couple seconds to really get everyone's attention. Terry Funk, I mean, if I spliced it up into a reel, someone's going to stop like, who's this guy? What is he going on about? I want to see more of this guy. So I love it, and I love the fact that it's not quite a fully formed Terry Funk, even though it's several years into his ability so far, So I'm gonna close out the night here with one last promo, and again, we're not going too far. We're getting a little taste. This is essentially a decade of evolution for Terry Funk. This is now 1983, long past the Memphis feud with Lawler. Now we're talking about Canada and a feud with Roddy Piper at Maple Leaf Wrestling.
My daddy was a dirty, ornery, dusty wrestling cowboy from Texas. That's right. And my mama, where'd she come from? She came from North Bay, out of the woods, the North Woods. And my mama was from where men are men and so are the women. And they got together, and what did they produce? They produced a North American baby. That's right. They produced a Canuck. That's a Canadian kook. They call me the craziest, wildest man in professional wrestling. Well, I'm not afraid of Roddy Piper. I'm not Ric Flair, who don't have enough guts to get in a ring with a wild man, because I am proud of what I am. I know that Roddy Piper says, I do exactly as I want to, when I want to, where I want to. I do exactly what I want to, too. And I'll stand up for my flag, and I'll stand up for the Canadian flag, and I'll stand up for what I believe is right in. Now, Roddy Piper doesn't realize what he's going into the ring with. He's going in the ring with a man that's meaner than a rattlesnake and tougher than shoe leather. And I promise you one thing, that I am crazier than a beaver in heat. And I've got teeth. And if it's necessary to use those teeth on Roddy Piper, well, I'll use those teeth. But if the man wants to wrestle, which I doubt if he knows very little of, well, that's exactly what I'll do, is I'll wrestle Roddy Piper. I'll match him hole for hole. I'll tear him limb from limb. I'll pull the eyeballs from his head. I'll beat on his head until his brain's like marshmallows and his eyeballs are jelly at Maple Leaf Gardens.
Oh my goodness, the fashion though. Shout out to the fashion.
Indeed.
Still.
Early 80s,
Greg,
man.
Yeah, man. That's holdover right there. Greg, what calls out to you? And I mean, down to even the camera knowing the assignment there. But this we're getting to fully fledged Terry now. Let's be real.
We are. We're getting there, and you're also seeing that evolution from calm to crazy. So a little bit more traditional, old school promo.
Mm-hmm.
We got to mention the person. We got to mention the spot. We got to mention the date. Hitting all the bullet points, because what we doing? Talking them into the building.
Yes,
So we got to sell those tickets at the Maple Leaf Gardens on what was it, March 15th or May 15th? But I think the thing there was just as you see that evolution, right? I mean, even down to the beaver and heat and all that kind of stuff. It's like kind of crazy stuff, but that's also, I think, something that appeals to more that local area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's also him understanding the psychology and understanding where he's at, Maple Leafs, and against a Canadian, even though he never promoted himself as a Canadian, Roddy Piper. He knew what he was doing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, here's the local kid without saying he's the local kid. But probably the top star, if not one of the top stars in the territory at the time, Piper. And just the way he hit it, right? He knew on a local level that type of promo works.
Yeah.
Go back to that NWA one. That's a national level. A little bit different.
Right.
You get to that Memphis one. Now I need to personally attack Lawler. I need to personally attack the fans, because Memphis is a different passion. Lawler was Memphis. Now we're in Maple Leaf Gardens. Now we're in Maple Leaf Wrestling. Now I need to attack Piper, but that promo is a little bit different, a little bit more violent, a little bit more personal, and also told a story about himself. How do I get heat against these people? I need to put myself in as a nasty American. So
Nasty
I need
Texan.
to talk about,
like above all,
Texan, 100%.
I come from the country of Texas.
Yes,
that's what Texas is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's that, right? There's that. Let me create that animosity, because you may not know who I am. Piper's probably not the Lawler of that area. He may be huge, but Lawler's different level. So it's kind of understanding the levels of how do I cut this promo to get the people in the building who just to make sure they don't like me and make sure I attack the right pieces. I think that's the part of a masterful promo, is understanding in the territory and who I'm wrestling and what buttons to push.
And it seems so simple, right? On its face, it's like, of course you're going to talk about the locals. Of course you're going to, customize it or personalize it. But it's not. It has to be a conscious effort to do that. Otherwise, you just lose crowd, or in this case, the pre-tape promo, of course.
And one more thing on that. What was missing in this one compared to the other two? A stick man.
Yeah, true.
So in the first one, yeah, Gordon's putting over the NWA championship, putting over all of that, and they kind of come together. The next one, Lance is Lawler's buddy. So now I'm going to talk about Lawler, but now I'm going to talk about you. And so we can play off of each other. Now I don't have anybody to play off of, which means you probably don't have somebody in that territory who's as connected to that audience as a Lance Russell, as a Gordon Soley. And so there's that level of experience and masterful promotion.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
A good point. Because it doesn't seem like there's anyone producing them more that except for the camera, just knowing, which I still love. I love that fact that he's zoomed in just on the face, but you're right, there's no orchestration there as much. That's an interesting point.
I mean, that promo could have easily been shot like off location, like in Texas, and shipped to them. He's basically at this point of his career, like Terry Funk carries weight, and he can talk you. It doesn't matter. He's not there on a weekly basis or a monthly basis. Like, I'm just going to pop in for this show we don't know the full extent of the feud with him and Piper, at least going into it. It requires some research, but at this point, Funk is a traveling man. Like, he is a professional wrestler making town. So he could have easily shot. That could have been in Texas for all we know. Or true. Atlanta. Shit. I mean, he could have easily been in Atlanta.
Looks like someone's basement for sure. So maybe.
Right.
Is there anything else that stood out to you regarding kind of like where he is in this point of his career? You said he's essentially, he's a working pro wrestler, so he has to put himself out there. So, but you're also talking about an era where you have a budding Roddy Piper who's on the cusp of a lot more.
No, like I said, at this point, and that was 80. What was that?
83.
Yeah, 83. He's cooking with fish grease at this point. Like, Funk is one of the guys, like he's one of your top performers. So it would make sense for him to be doing a lot of work everywhere at that point. But, he carries weight, man. The name carries weight, and his character alone. I guarantee if we were around that time, we would have probably been going to that show.
Oh, probably. Probably.
So job well done,
Yeah, and this, we're still, Greg mentioned earlier, there's that, or we all mentioned the Japanese influence too, right? But he keeps going back to Japan from early 70s, maybe like something up through the 90s, up through like 90, 91, 92, something like that, right? So, there's still this idea of this reverence of, again, that old school worker mentality of, I'm a pro wrestler. You got a gig for me, I'm going to be there, I'm going to make the town. And it's not till later, when obviously age catches up with them, and that's just the natural order of things. But it was really fun researching for this because I had so much I had to leave off the table, and I'm sure I'm going to send them to you guys directly. But we'll put them in the show notes here. I have the promo post the Lawler feud, and it's interesting to see him just go wild. And there's no producer, there's no director. Like, here, just do your thing, buddy. Like, you know your character, and you know what to do. You know what to do with it. So
now, Adelaide, I know you're hosting this, but
do it.
I gotta step in, man. I gotta step
do
in
it
before we get out of this.
It's the show.
I'm a Terry Funk mark, and like, I gotta at least tell my Terry Funk story, man.
You got to, man.
I met him in Dallas, Texas. That was the WrestleMania. Dallas. Me and Greg actually met for the first time.
Oh, that's awesome.
I had my cowboy hat on because I was in Texas.
Yeah.
And Greg was like, "Where are you from here?" And I was like, "Hell no, I'm from Atlanta, man." And he was like, "No shit." And then we connected. But fast forward to meeting Terry Funk, one of the most nice guys in the business. I had my cowboy hat on. I had my Shawn Michaels "I Love You" "I'm sorry" shirt.
I love you.
Yeah. And he saw that and it popped him there. But
Oh, sick.
he was like, "Man, we're gonna take a picture. We're gonna take the picture or whatnot." And he said, "Are you gonna smile? You don't seem like you smile a lot." And I said, "No, I smile all the time, but I'm not smiling with you in this picture. Hell no." So I do the Mitchum point. I got this picture with Terry. Got to tell him thank you and all that stuff. He signed an autograph for me. And guys, this is where the heartbreak comes. WrestleMania 32, main event, Roman Reigns, Triple H. Triple H is the champ. And at that point, I hate Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Hate Roman Reigns. Roman goes over. He wins. I'm so annoyed and aggravated, slightly intoxicated because I was doing a lot of day drinking. I leave my autograph of Terry Funk under my seat at WrestleMania in Jerry World. And it hits me as soon as I hit the door. Because I say, "Oh, no." I turn around and security's like, whoa, what are you doing? You can't go back in. I said, "Dude, I left this autograph, da. He's like, "Dude, you can't go back in." And that's, it'll heartbreak. And I was like, man, I can't wait I'll see him next year. He wasn't at 33. And it's just one of those things that makes you think about, like, damn, man, if you get the chance to meet one of those guys, like, go meet them and cherish it. And because it's not guaranteed that they're going to be at the next WrestleMania, So rest in peace, rest in power to Terry, man. That was always one of my guys, bro. Always one of my guys.
I thought you were gonna bust out your Terry Funk voice. I'm sure everybody has an impression.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Mitchell, you're gonna smile.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love that picture. I've seen it before, and he looks like in his element too. He's like, "Give me the point," and he's like, so good, man.
He had the dukes up and everything, man.
Yeah.
He's a legend, man. True legend.
I echo that, and as to anyone listening, like we're lifers here. We're gonna be fans till the day we dropped it.
Absolutely.
But I will echo that. Go meet your heroes. Don't leave it for the next year or the next WrestleCon, or if they're in your town, go make the time. Make the time. And especially for someone like Terry Funk, who we just cherish and cherish that kind of wrestler who is also, it can't be said enough, someone who also treats their fans right. And the way and that goes a long way of saying that longevity is built on that, right?
Oh yeah.
Built on that relationship you have with the fans. But that's going to be us for tonight. This is a little look back at an early Terry Funk. Maybe later on we'll get into some of the later promos. we can do like a multi-parter on this.
Yeah, this could be a three-parter, man. This could easily be a three-parter.
We scratched the surface tonight, but so for the listeners out there, again, go if it's your first time listening, check out the back catalog, intothebuilding.com. We have several reels now. If you're interested in just some short form content, we got a lot of things that you can just check out if you want to get a little taste of what else we got cooking over here. But from us, this is a podcast. This is Talk 'em in the Building, a pro wrestling podcast where we pontificate on the promo. We talk about the talkers and we hype the hype men. Listen to us here, like, subscribe, comment, and let us know what are some of your favorite Terry Funk memories. And also, what do you think someone like Terry Funk would look like in the 2025? A prime Terry Funk, a babyface Terry Funk would look like in 2025. But for me, Sadalid, with my homies here, Greg and Adrian, we'll see you next time on Talk 'em in the Building.